all that, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Is the brake on your new pedal set not meeting your expectations? If so, let D-Nut Stuff transform your braking experience. D-Nut Stuff has brake mods for Thrustmaster TLCMs, Husingveld Sprints, Mosa SRPs, Fanatec CSL Elite V1 and V2s, SimJack Pros, and UT sets. We are always working on adding new pedal sets and more, so check back often. Does your feet hurt after a session of sim racing? Are you tired of the distraction from sore heels? If so, D-Nut Stuff has the solution for you. Our heel pads add support and comfort for your feet, so those long races are no longer painful. We can make a heel pad for pretty much any pedal set and even add your custom logo. So get one today. You won't regret it.
Test it. Test 1, 2.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome back to the American Muscle Series on Slow Motion Broadcasting. JR Gregory here with you on the call alongside my good friend Joshua Wilkie on production and commentary. And this week takes us down under to a track circled on my calendar when the schedule came out, Mount Panorama, located in Bathurst, New South Wales, Australia. This venue is a temple of motorsport with almost a 90-year history. This is technically a street circuit, public roads, some homes only reachable by track. Our current configuration is 23 turns, 3.8 miles, or 6.2 clicks. The current track record of a 159.291 was set by Christopher Mies in an Audi R8 LMS back in 2018. Elevation change, of course, here about 571 feet, similar to Laguna Seca stateside. And this track is current host to Australian Supercars, the famous 12-hour endurance race, and many, many others. And I'll tell you what, Josh, this track is a unique challenge in the entire world of motorsports, would never be built by today's safety standards. And these drivers will need to weigh the risks versus the rewards of scraping the wall on every single lap.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me in here, JR. For sure, this place, we know fairly well, and many others too. After Bathurst 12, a couple weeks back there, we got a lot of laps around here, and it is a treacherous place to drive. No, maybe more so as driving one of these around there for sure. It is going to be quite the challenge coming down the hill in one of these. I think you're really gonna have to be guiding this thing properly and planning your moves out. That first lap or two around here with these machinery and this many cars as well. We got a pretty full house tonight. Is going to be kind of spectacular, and I'm just hoping everybody can keep it clean, especially through tight, slow sections like this on cold tires, as we know well. It can go wrong pretty quickly.
Yeah, do right. And also the whole pinball thing where one car takes a misstep and takes half the field out with them. We have over 30 cars out here tonight, and looking at the practice times, pretty wide variety of times out here. There was about a 6-second spread between the top of the field and the bottom, which is going to kind of indicates to me that back markers are going to be involved with the leaders at some point during this one. This is a 40-minute sprint tonight with a pit stop mandatory, but we have an extended qualifying underway right now. We are almost halfway through that, and right now up top it is Taylor Blunt from David Moore from Jeff Schnackle, your provincial podium in the pros. Then Matt Thompson, Ed Sancinelli, and Brandon Smith are leading the way for the challengers, and then Andy Bell from Scott Brooks from Tom Want are 1, 2, and 3 in your amateur category. And who is missing from that AM list? I'm going to say Sacchetti. Unable to set a time here so far, and can be so tough, Josh, to set a clean time around here, because when you're racing, those little wall scuffs that put up a 0x are kind of part of your normal groove, but you get a 0x during qualifying and it invalidates that lap. So got to be extra careful out here during qualifying, and on a tough track to pass, qualifying going to be very important tonight.
Yeah, qualifying, very, very important around here. Probably one of the more important qualifyings of the entire season here for sure. Taylor Ballant going into T2 here. Really important corner to get right as well. He tucked it in really nice there. Now, I would imagine these things handle the bumps pretty well around here, so not have to worry too much about that. But, getting it slowed down in these low speed corners is going to bowl it out perfectly through there as well. Really, really good line through there. So, yeah, I think honestly, again, it's going to be good decision making. Qualifying up close to the front is really going to matter. That's a good point you bring up as well. As you can have a fast lap, but you have to go out and be able to execute it in this 15 minutes. You have to be able to go and get it done. And if you tap a wall, the first lap or two, I'd say 3 or 4 laps, you're just warming up the tires. You're not really going to be able to throw that lap down till probably lap 3 or so. These not being affected as tire heat maybe as much as some other cars in the game, but definitely getting affected by it for sure. Making a nice tidy line coming down the hill here as well. Interesting to see how this car kind of handles that section here. This is where I would be most worried, I think, coming down the hill in this car. That is a lot of machinery to get woed up. Perfect line through Falcon. I think he might have touched the wall there, JR. Like you said, though, he may have just lost that lap possibly.
Yeah, Taylor looking awfully smooth out here though, and these cars are an absolute handful on the easiest of circuits, and Bathurst certainly doesn't qualify as that. And one thing I've noted about these cars, you kind of have to commit to the line that you're taking. You got to be very, very precise. The suspension, as you can see watching these cars go around the track, a little bit wallowy. So once the suspension takes a set, it doesn't like small corrections, and a little correction mid-corner can lead to disaster. So a lot of precision required out here, a lot of commitment. You've got to pick that steering angle and hope for the best, as we see Matt Thompson right here, taking a very inside entry there into what many people call that Falcon corner due to the signage there, but for his elbow, of course. But looking good here. Thompson, he's pushing his way, sitting P4 right now. And look at Andy Bell, Josh. He has almost got the entire Challenger field behind him as he sits in a provincial P10 so far in qualifying, 2:27.035. And getting down to crunch time right here, these laps do take a little bit of time to get done, probably 2 laps maximum left for a lot of these competitors. So if they want to improve their lot in life, they've got to do it now. And this is really one of those tracks where your qualifying times are going to separate the wheat from the chaff, show the people who have put in the time out here. And gosh, you're right, Josh. I feel like you and I have lived out here for about 3 weeks. It's that time of year. I covered the Radical Esports Cup out here. You and I did the F3 race out here, and we drove in the 12 2 weekends ago, and here we are back with American Muscle Series. So, yeah, it is that time of year. It is fall down in the Southern Hemisphere, and that means Bathurst, and here we go. And taking a look now at where are we right now? Is that Brandon Carl we're riding along with? Brandon currently sitting in P28, which may not sound that great, but that time that he's put in a 2:30.575, good enough for P4 in his class. So good drive by Brandon, and got to remember who you're racing, keep putting the laps down, and keep getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also key around here too, is just getting those laps down. Like we keep saying, you got to keep the car out of the wall, got to keep that sort of minimum tempo up around here. I do feel like I can kind of definitely, this is one of those tracks that I feel like I can find a genuine rhythm with, and you feel like you're kind of dancing with the car a little bit, or that you're playing some music out there when you get it right. And when you get it wrong, it starts to fall apart. It can be pretty bad around here. It's not like some other tracks where you get it wrong and you have a bit of a ditch to go into, or some gravel, or here you're going to find a wall. You're probably going to find it at high speed too. Most of this track is at really high speed, even if you lose it in some of the places where you can actually have a bit of runoff. It's going to be a big one, and you're going to take a lot of that runoff, and it can get pretty scary and difficult. Another thing to mention actually too is the pit lane here. Not easy to get in, not easy to get out. That's something you're going to have to think about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of practicing Bathurst in a pit stop race is practicing that diabolical pit entry, as you saw Brandon Smith doing a pretty good job there. And these Mustangs, to beat a dead horse, they're a little bit softer sprung than a lot of cars, and kind of bounce over that curbing like Grandma's Cadillac. And that actually, Smith looked like he was able to straighten out that pit entry pretty well by banging over those curbs, and those curbs would upset a lot of other cars. So maybe these Mustangs have a little bit of an advantage getting clean into pit lane. Taking a look now at Chuck Labano as our qualifying winding down. Labano definitely wanting to improve his lot in life, currently sitting in P16 overall, and probably tickling the top 10 in pros. But as qualifying winds down, let's go ahead and look at the season points right now. This is going to be through 6 rounds, and we'll get those spun up one class at a time. 3 classes of cars on the track for you tonight, and here are your pro standings. Jay Bast has fought and was beside himself with his victory last week that put him up into P1 in the pro standings. Could not believe his good fortune and his hard work has paid off. It's Bass from Schnackel, from David Fernandez, and it's Ron Wolf, Kevin Parrish rounding out the top 5. Finch, Kemp, Labano, Ballant, and Matt Malone, who we haven't seen in a couple of weeks and is not here tonight, is going to round out your top 10 in pro. Then it's in your challenger class. That is looking red. No, it's not. It is blue for challenge. It's Thompson.
It's got a both
from
there,
Mark Cohn, from Levi Powell, then Freddie Weaver. Edgar Santinelli will get you to P5. Gazenda, Hosea, Smith, Blair, and Brian Kennedy get you to the top 10. And last and certainly not least, there are your amateur standings. Joe Sacchetti has pretty easily run away with the AM category this time, but Andy Bell looking to make something happen here at Bathurst. Got a solid lead, where Sacchetti sitting in P2 right now in qualifying, but there could be some scrapping going on between those two as we see Sacchetti and Bell leading the amateur category. And it appears as though the qualifying session has ended, and we are going to get your grid up for you in a second as we wait for the iRacing universe to scroll over. And there it is. It's Taylor Blount lined up next to David Moore up top in row 1. Then Jeff Schnackel will line up next to Fabian Zweyer. Neil Kemp will line up next to David Finch in row 3. Then David Fernandez next to Andrew Bailing. Matt Thompson, our highest running challenger, will line up next to challenger number 2, Freddie Weaver, there in row 5. Then Mark Cohn next to Andy Bell, amateur running in P12, P1 in his class. Then Hosey next to Bass, Dan Ott next to Chuck Labano, Brandon Smith next to Ed Santinelli, Aaron Bray will line up next to Ron Wolf. That gets you to 20. Then it's Levi Powell next to Michael Brennan, Joe Sacchetti next to Matthew Gazunda in 23 and 24. Andres will line up next to Kennedy, Blair next to Brooks, Brandon Carl next to Colin Olson, Want next to Bassard, Andy Kosick next to Mike Nickham, who is surely beside himself, not setting a time out there, and Merle Eschman as well, bringing up the rear in P35. So as the time ticks down here, iRacing's in a force to start for us here in about 45 seconds. We got a couple people not yet gridded up, but that is Ballant there in the blue Mustang up against the pit wall. So he's going to have the inside entry into Hell Corner turn 1, and got to get these cars smooth off the line. They do have anti-lock brakes, but no traction control, and ice cold tires off of a standing start. So job 1, get them moving, and then get them woed up and safely around Hell Corner. And Josh, that is an aptly named one, Hell Corner. It has a hidden apex, hidden exit. It is off camber, and to really maximize that when you got to get out in the dirt, which is risky on every single lap. But we should be starting here in just a second. My timer's showing 2 minutes. We should see those start lights in a moment. And here we go. Game on at Bathurst. Ballant gets a pretty good start. Will slowly drift over to cover off more on the outside, but Schnackel taking a little peek on the inside. Ballant didn't get over as far as he wanted there. That's going to compromise his run through Hell Corner and up the mountain straight for the first time. And so far, so good. Hell Corner can definitely eat up cars off of the start, and I'm going to say that all 35 cars through clean as a whistle, and it is going to be up front. It's Schnackel next to Ballant, and look at Schnackel making a push here making something happen early. And Schnackle is actually going to lead the field through Griffin's Bend. Schnackle lighting the wick on the start, dropping Blount and David Moore to lead lap 1 early through the cutting for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Schnackle breaking out into the lead again. This is a little bit reminiscent of last week. He did this, and pretty much that was the last we saw of him to the end of the race here. So, you take that strategy here and see if you can extrapolate it out at Bathurst and make it work for you. This is where you want to get a breakaway. This is where you want to be in clean air for sure. Everybody else has to deal with a car in front of them and a car behind them on the first lap, and that is just... It is nerve-wracking around here, even if you're surrounded by excellent drivers like we have here in the AMS League. Coming down this hill here is always going to be a little bit tenuous the first time. We'll try to have a good look and see if we can cover the whole field coming down this section here. And it looks like so far we're pretty clean. Schnackle is going to be clean up to Forest Elbow here, so we are line astern. Everybody behaving, everybody looking pretty copacetic so far, JR. This is pretty impressive stuff so far. I don't want to jinx it, but Schnackle off to a great start. Somebody into the wall a little bit there, but hey, you're gonna do that a couple times during this race for sure.
Yeah, just a little kiss there, and that concrete barrier is multicolored for a reason. You see some contested runs down here, down the Conrad Straight. We're going to see some contested entries into the chase, which is coming up here at the bottom. These Mustangs are going to get terminal velocity all the way down this hill, right along right now with Jay Bass. He's peeking inside of Weaver, side by side through the chase. Weaver getting a slightly better run here, and Weaver is going to hold off Bass for now. But tip of the hat, 35 Mustangs get around Bathurst off of a standing start, 0 incidents of any kind, and a fantastic starting lap by the American Muscle Series, and hip hip hooray for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That is honestly big round of applause for everybody there on that one. That's not something that happens often around here in any machinery at all, let alone these notoriously difficult Mustangs here. And there's even a little bit of jockeying for position around that lap too, people peeking and having a look and trying to intimidate each other. And I think these drivers just know each other so well. We got actually holy, what a catch from Schnackle. We'll have to go back and see exactly how that transpired there, but Blount taking the lead, Dave Moore looking up the inside of Schnackle.
Yeah, and something else happened with Schnackle on that lap. I looked away just for a second, but by the end of lap 1, he had built that gap to about 0.8, and prior to that huge drift through Griffin's Bend that you saw Schnackle barely catch there, Blount had gotten through, so Schnackle had some kind of bobble, maybe in the chase, maybe in her Murray's. And here we go. It's up Mountain Straight, so Schnackle must have got a bad exit out of Hell Corner, and here comes Blount. Thank you very much. And once that position is taken, it is pretty much over, and Schnackle getting way sideways right there. More snipping around, hoping to pick up the pieces, and so far, Schnackle hanging on, but man, oh man, Schnackle kicking himself for blowing that great start. Almost had a second gap, Josh, after 1 lap, and now he has got actually, wait a minute, my timing tower. Oh no, now he's got Blount ahead of him with about a 0.4 gap, and I know that it was going to be Schnackle's preference here to play defense and not offense, but that is the bet he's made for himself, and here we go.
Yeah, he's definitely in the middle of it now after a mistake like that for sure. Amazing catch in that corner, and excellent driving from the cars around him as well to take that avoidance. It's always the worst. You're having a moment like that, and then somebody just decides to dive up the inside of you and door you into the wall or something. So, everybody around there just kind of seeing what happened, reacting to it, and staying in a line, and everybody gets to continue playing another day. So super impressive, again, for that catch. Taylor Blount, though, now taking that lead, and you're probably right, probably got a bit of a bad exit maybe out of the first corner here, and was able to get that draft on Schnackle and then get that pass done. And that's kind of going to be the way you get a pass around here. There's really only a couple passing areas around here unless you force someone into a pretty drastic mistake, and you're just able to kind of slip through, and we know that well. Sometimes you can get a pass done along the top of the hill, but it's usually because either A, somebody just crashed into the wall really hard and you squeaked by, or B, they let you by, and it's always a little bit tenuous even when somebody lets you by. along the top of the wall here. So we'll see how it continues, but everybody looking really, really clean so far. We'll keep looking for those battles out there, see if we can't bring you some passes. Perhaps that happened on that first lap too, because there is a few.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're looking back through the film, maybe we could get the in-car of that save by Schneckel. I'd like to see his hands on that. And
Absolutely,
if you're
yeah.
used to driving a car with oversteer tendencies, we call that oppo. Fast hands,
Big
opposite
time, yeah.
lock to save your life. If you can't do that, Schneckel would have been in the barrier here for sure. As you see, Ballant, this is from the previous lap, and here's Schneckel with a whoop. Oh,
Yowzers.
And that's Oppo, folks. That is the fast hands, them be the fast hands that kept that Mustang out of the wall that time around. Rear tires not too happy with Schneckel right now, but it only cost him one position despite pressure from Dave Moore from behind while those tires cooled off. And here is Jeff Besnard way off pace. You see that Aussie flag here defending his home turf, and you know that this is not how he wanted his Bathurst run to go.
Yeah, that looks like a hardware issue or something to me. Perhaps something at home, or the wheel or the pedal falls off its mount or something. It's happened to me before. You do something, or your button box stops. Where I actually had one of the weirdest things you could have happen. My button box started fritzing out, started spinning and crashing all over the track, and I'm like, why does it all of a sudden feel like I just can't drive this thing? My button box was changing my rear brake bias on me, and I looked up, and it was going from 50 to 49 to 32, back to 49, back to 52. So you can have all kinds of problems out there, even ones that it sounds like there's a ghost in my machine or something. I ended up soldering it and fixing it, so I didn't have to buy a new one. But we can have hardware problems just like in real life, right? You could have an engine failure, you could have all kinds of things like that, and it happens in sim racing as well, and we kind of chalk it up to that. But that's obviously never a way that you want to end up out of a race like this. It's fun. For me, I could get 10th place, 11th, 12th, 15th. As long as I finish and I had a good time and I was racing out there, I'm usually pretty happy. When I'm sitting in the pit watching people have fun, not so happy.
Yeah, and although we talked about a hardware failure, particularly potentially sidelining Besnard, but he is showing a meatball, so may have picked up some damage. There is Eschman whacking that wall right there, and Eschman has taken a tow as well, and the casualties beginning to pile up. I'm showing Ron Wolf, Besnard, and Eschman all in the pits right now, and tell you slide hard into that barrier right there, take a hit right on the wheel like that, and something in the front end is going to break, and the flatbed is coming, and that has claimed Besnard and Ekman. The Wolf is in and out of the pits. Could he have taken a splash and dash here to run
maybe
in
that's what he
clean
did.
air? He's got about a 10-second gap ahead to Mike Nickham running in P32, so we'll keep an eye on Wolf and see if he is trying some strategery out here.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right there. I think maybe he's got a clean car. Didn't look like he had an incident or anything. Feels a little early to go in perhaps, but he's got his strategy down here. He wants to get away from that air. We know Ron Wolf has some speed, so maybe he just had a bad quality today. He's trying to get out in free air. I think you're right, JR.
Yeah, and I really, league admins, listen up. I love the opportunity to for an undercut in these league races. If you're going to use pit stops, let the drivers play around with them and make something happen on the undercut, and we'll see if that is successful for Ron Wolf. He is definitely giving himself some clean air. He has a full minute ahead of him right now, so if he has some pace, I'll keep an eye on his time story, but if he has some pace and can deal out some quick laps here, he could get the last lap once the bulk of the pit cycle gets underway here.
Yeah, absolutely. He could be laughing here in a bit. I think honestly, if he's got the pace, he will make up some positions on the cars in front of him. I don't know how far he's going to be able to get up. As we said there, he might, depends on where he comes out, what kind of lap pace he has, and then hopefully, obviously, if he can, he took enough fuel there to make it to the end. But I'm sure he's got his calculations. You can see at the bottom here, playing with some of the graphics. We're trying to get photos of the drivers up. Can't seem to get the photos up. I'm going to be working on that for our upcoming rounds and stuff here as well. But it does look like the actual driver photos themselves not working. So we're going to try the car picture for a while. That looks pretty cool, I think, and see if that works. Schnackel still holding on here to second place. I think if I was him, I had some pace, I'd probably be pretty happy where I am right now. You'd be up in the top 3, top 4. That's a pretty good place to be. You don't want to, I think like when we were racing here as well, or when anybody's racing here, I think once you kind of get into a comfy zone, you just kind of want to settle in and stay there. Unless you're in 10th and you really want to be in 3rd and you have all the pace, then you kind of want to get your tempo up. But right now, I'd be happy to just kind of be just comfortable where I am and see if we can't wait till the end. Maybe we can make a move on Taylor then, or Taylor as well. He wants to just kind of hold this position and hope that he's got something in the tank there. We did see him very smooth in qualifying and in practice there, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's got the pace to be able to hold out. Big bunch of packs car here. Have a look at this battle.
Yeah, and listen up, kids. Words of wisdom from Josh Wilkie there. If you're in an okay place, running in the top 5 at Bathurst, if the leader's not getting away from you, just get your laps done, keep the car clean, and make sure that you're alive for battles down the stretch. And that is 100% correct, and I'm sure that is what Schnackle is thinking right now. These Mustangs do suffer from buildup of tire heat and tire degradation throughout the race, and saving the tires, especially at a place like Bathurst, will definitely pay dividends down the stretch here. But about 11 minutes in, almost 12 minutes in now, it is Ballant from Schnackle, from Fabian Zweyer, and maybe jump back and take a look at Mark Thompson leading Matt Thompson leading Mark Cohn. That is P1 and P2 in your Challenger class.
Oh, yeah.
Freddie Weaver about 2 seconds back from those two. Andy Bell running by himself in the AMs, and Sacchetti way back, and Brandon Carl and Colin Olson close to one another. And here is that fight between Thompson and Mark Cohn, as Thompson makes it happen into Griffin's Bend. And another pro tip, kids, if somebody has a run behind you, you got to cover the inside there, because if you end up on the outside, the camber is terrible and you are toast, as was Mark Cohn right there.
Yeah, that corner, if somebody gets that run up the inside, it is always best to just kind of let it happen, file in behind, keep your momentum up and keep going. That outside line, it's not going to work. Side by side up into the next section is ludicrous. You definitely want to be one in front of the other going through that section there. So he did the right thing. He backed out of it eventually, maybe lose a little bit of time. Pretty aggressive move, actually, up the inside. You know what? It looks, unfortunately, like our friend Ron Wolf here has maybe had an unforced error coming out of the pit here on some perhaps cold tires or heavy fuel, and that is not going to help the strategy at all. You gotta hate it when that happens, when you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go out and get some fresh air, and then you go out and you get it and you spin, and you just lost basically anything you were going to get. So now it's going to be a real comeback tour to even get kind of back to where he was before he went in the pit. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that one and see where else he can get. It looks like he actually maybe had another spin and then jumped to the pit after that. So not having a good one for Ron Wolf today.
Yeah, Wolf having a very rough time. And you're right, Josh. I did notice that he was in the pits. I'm showing 2 pit stops for Wolf, as he's now 2 laps down. And we'll take.
I don't want to rub it in, but we got to see it, I guess, here coming down the hill. Oh, and you're just going to lose it on some flash tires, right? So we've been there too, JR. Once you flash those tires, especially seemingly around certain tracks like this one, that little spin he had and then having to get it straight again, you flash your tires now, and they're basically like ice, and that is just such a standard, common thing to happen right after that spin in that corner to then crash exactly there coming down the hill. Seen it a million times.
Yeah, it takes so much discipline to remember that your tires are roasted. And another pro tip, when you pull into the pits, those percentages that iRacing shows you, not really a fair indicator of the condition of your tires, because it doesn't show heat. It just shows tread depth. So, you're like, oh, I got 80% left when I crashed, but my tires felt blown. That's because you overheated them. And a few cars have that on the dash. LMP3 cars, I think, and P2 cars have tire temp on the dash. These definitely don't, as there is a little fighting going on. Schnackle manages to push through there, and we might have to take another look at that. Did that happen on the pit straight? And Ballant is going to end up falling in behind Schnackle. So it's Schnackle from Blount, from Moore, and Fabian Zweyer lost out there somehow. He did have the fast lap a couple laps ago, but that has been taken over by David Moore, who just turned in the 2:25.7. And whoop! Just as I say that, Zweyer gets that position back. Zweyer running now in P3 at Schnackle from Blount, from Zweyer, and now David Moore getting a little bit swamped right here as Bailing gets through there as well. And Schnackle has pushed his way back through, 25 minutes remaining. And now it is Schnackle playing defense against Blount. Zweyer, look at that line of cars. The top 7 cars there, less than 5/10 gap between most of those. So some great racing here at Bathurst. And Josh, really showing the preparation. This is not an arrive and drive track. No matter how good you are, how fast you are, you definitely need the seat time to get quick up here. And our top drivers here are showing that they have put that time in.
Yeah, 100%. This is not a track you can just arrive and drive at, for sure. There are tracks out there, that you can come and, if you've never been to, you can learn them fairly quickly and get out there. Here, the consequence is just so high. It's so intimidating every lap, especially for this length of time. And with a pit stop, too, you just have so much to think about out there. Andrew Bailing in 4th place after a really abysmal outing last time. He had the speed, he had everything put together, and unfortunately just didn't have a good day. Hopefully we can have a bit of a better day today. Looks like he is. I'm going to go back here quickly and we'll have a look at that pass. I believe it was Fabian Zweyer around David Moore, and you can see really visually here just how much time you lose trying to fight that outside line. And not that he was really trying to fight. He didn't really have much of a choice there because Zweyer sort of took it a bit late, but you can see David Moore there now having a bit of a wallowy moment. Andrew Bailing is going to squeak up and actually get around him too. Such a slow line around that outside if you can't facilitate that pass correctly.
Yeah, too right. And terrible camber out there. You saw that car washing out as it kind of crawls up out of the bowl on Griffin's Bend, the outside line, negative camber, and just slides you, squishes you right towards the wall. Bailing, it could have been worse, or more. It could have been worse for him there, for sure. But yeah, if you're beaten on the inside, as Josh said, better to give up, get in line, and take advantage of the camber on the inside. And you saw the result right there when you don't. And more side-by-side action right here as Blount tries to get Schnackle back, and Zweyer going to follow him through as Schnackle absolutely getting schnacked on by his competitors, and Bailing sniffing around there as well. And you mentioned Bailing our hard charger right now, at least in the top 10, up 4 positions. So Bailing has got something going here with about 22 minutes remaining.
Yeah, awesome to see here. We have a real fight here at the front. Probably 5, 6 way, 7 fight, maybe even more now. They are starting to catch up. So again, you can see visually that battling happening up front is starting to allow some other drivers. Now we have Neil Kemp, David Finch, David Fernandez all joining this party as well. So we have a real fight here, at least for the top 5 or 6 at the front at the moment here. Taylor Blount leading for the moment. Fabian Zweyer, we saw him last year making a lot of very aggressive moves and stuff. He's able to make those moves. He's able to get the wins. Clean and aggressive moves are what you need around here. You have to be, as I say, to quote Cesar Millan, you want to be calm and assertive. And you could probably say that about almost any racetrack, but this one, it really rings true. You want to be calm, especially if you want to make passes out there. You're going to have to assert yourself. You're going to have to press square to intimidate, especially with drivers like this around you. It's not going to be an easy one, but hopefully we'll see some more movement here. I'll get the gains up right now. Actually, we can see Andrew Bailing up 4, Fabian Zweyer up 2, Mark Cohn up 1. So Fabian Zweyer, Brandon Carl, Colin E. Olson, Andy Kosick, and Mike Nickham are up 7 positions from the beginning of this race. Mike Nickham actually just taking 1 more as we speak. So there's some movement out there. Not an easy place to pass, as you can see, kind of up and down the field there. Usually we'd see, maybe even some double digits and a lot more green numbers, but it's hard to pass around here. You want to get kind of comfy where you are, like we were saying.
Yeah, it is, and some big losses at the bottom as well, which accounts for some of that movement, but some of it, some legit passes going on out here, and fans of the Aussie supercars will be plenty used to seeing these V8 American cars flogging it around Bathurst. And here is a replay, a little action right here of Bailing That must be coming up behind Moore as Moore washing out of Griffin's Bend right there, and then bailing, slams the door in his face. Moore being smart not to fight that one, was beaten and lives to fight another day. But great action on the mountain, and here is Fabian Zweier's view of that fight between Ballant and Schnackle. And he says, look, watches Schnackle wash out there. That's so rough, that exit of Griffin's. So rough to get grip out there. And Zweier taking advantage. They'll put Zweier up 2 positions right now. It's Ballant from Zweier, from Schnackle up front. And as you said, Josh, Bailing, Moore, Kemp, Fench, all hanging around this train up front.
Yeah, I kind of can't wait till the wee hours. The pit stop is going to be extremely important in this race to execute it properly. 1 second will put you out of this fight, basically, you know, from the other drivers. So, you know, it is unfortunate sometimes when the pit stop really messes up our good battle here, but we shall see. We're going to get some drag races out of the pit lane. It's going to be an interesting one for sure, and I kind of can't wait for the closing hours of this because, you know, like we're saying, you kind of want to try to calm down a little bit at this stage. I'm seeing just visually that's not really happening. The cars are moving around a little bit more. They don't seem as calm as they were about 5 or 6 minutes ago. But now you probably want to try to start thinking about that pit stop. It starts to get a little bit harder to drive for a minute. You're thinking about fuel. You're thinking about when I'm going to do it. Is the guy in front of me going to do it? I know that's when I start to kind of drive a little bit differently. We're getting close to that hour now. Once you get that done, you want to just start plugging laps out. So, you know, we want to try to get comfy right now and hopefully be there for the end and execute this pit stop right. And we'll keep a good eye on those pit stops for you guys as much as we can here because I think it's going to really make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And just having crossed the halfway point there, and no Schnackle, if that was a head fake, trying to convince Bailing that he was going to go into the pits that time, or if he was showing his nose to Zweier. But, you know, those little fake moves, that one cost Schnackle. You talked about roasting the tires, and that one cost Schnackle some grip. That little dodge inside, you saw him get very loose right there. And here comes a taker right now into the pits. That is the 157 car of Mike Nickum, one of the our league sponsors for DNet stuff. You saw their ad earlier, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. But Zweier now pressing on Taylor Ballant up front, up the mountain straight, forcing Ballant to cover that inside. But you know, Josh, you and I both have a lot of laps out here, and in my experience, covering that inside entry to Griffin's Bend Turn 2 really doesn't cost anything in terms of time.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. You're right. I think actually probably the faster line through there is to really meet that curb kind of as early as you can, get that tire set in, and then just kind of carry it around like a carousel. And yeah, definitely just to get a little bit more shallow on that line so your competitor doesn't see it. It might lose you a tenth. It's going to save you 5 or 7 if he gets up the inside of you. So I think we've all made that mistake there before. You think you have the corner. It's just so wide. It's such an inviting place. And you got to remember, too, the person behind you has probably been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. He wants to get by you. That draft feels like it's working. He feels like he can get by you. And they just, you know, sometimes they just got to give it a try. And if they intimidate you up the inside, it's really easy to get kind of forced wide, even just by a sort of an intimidation move there. So it is a good point to race, JR. You got to be very defensive of that inside line, know how to defend it. I guess you could say know how to sort of translate your meaning to the people behind you, that you're not getting through here. I'm going to make sure I cover it every lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And pit sequence getting underway here. I've got 11 cars right now, with the exception of the people who went into the pits involuntarily, let's say. But I've got about 11 cars who have stopped for fuel. Surely the folks here up at the top, at the pointy end of the field, are going to run it dry. So we'll keep an eye on Ballant, and he is taking another pass. And there goes Schnackle with a little peek there, and Fench and Kemp are both going to follow. And, you know, I've gone through the grass right there before, and amazingly, it is not a slowdown, but definitely a 1X if you overcook that pit entry. But, you know, a couple extra seconds, it's worth throwing away a 1X. This pit sequence going to be so critical here. We'll take a look at Schnackle, and so that's Schnackle, Moore, Kemp, all in the pit lane. Matt Thompson is in there as well, Labano, Brandon Smith. So, fast and furious activity here in the pits. And up front, Ballant, Zweyer, Baling, Fench, Fernandez, Cone, Weaver, Bell, and Hosey have all stayed out. That is your top 9. And I can't imagine, Josh, that they have a lot of time left. And look at Schnackle making a pretty good move out of the pits there. And did he pick up a spot there? No, I don't think he did, because no, we won't find out. Actually, he may have picked up a spot, but we won't find out until the likes of Ballant, Zweyer, Baling, and Fench get their pit stop done. But it could be that Schnackle has this right where he wants it right now. What was his stationary time? About 14.3. Not the fastest on the board there. You see Neil Kemp under 13 seconds, but not terrible. I'd say Schnackle about in the middle of the gang so far in terms of stationary time. And you saw that entry. He definitely was not horsing around, got that Mustang into his pit stall very quickly there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at both times here, he overall was actually one of the fastest guys in the pit. So his entire pit lane time being a 48.5. I believe that's the fastest time out there right now. So that looked like a pretty tidy stop for him altogether. Took a little more fuel maybe than someone was stopped, but like you said, really hustled that entry and exit and was able to get it done in 48.5. So I think that one might be a pretty good time for him. Of course, the drivers out in front of him are not going to be filling quite as much fuel, even maybe a lap or two, so that could pull a second or two out of their time. But I think we're going to be pretty close here. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. I'll do my best with the graphics here while I'm talking to try to display all that for you guys while they're coming in here. And I would imagine it's going to be soon. 26 minutes. Is he teasing it? Yep, he's coming in. So Ballant is in. Fabian Zweyer is in. We will watch this intently for a moment here and see exactly how long this pit stop's going to be. That looked fast entry there, maybe too fast.
And the tap there on that is contact on pit lane. It looked like between those two cars. And remember, we showed the stationary time. We also had the complete pit time. Remember, Schnackle just over 48 seconds. And by comparison, another driver who was running close to him more was in the pit lane for over 52 seconds. So that is over a 2-second swing between Schnackle and Moore on the strength of the pit stop. So it is going to be critical for the likes of Baling, Ballant, Zweyer to get in and out of the pits here quickly.
Very fast for Zweyer.
Looking pretty good there. We'll see what his total time is. But still, Schnackle looking pretty good. And I just saw a black flag. I think Fernandez might have got busted for speeding in the pits. And that is a heartbreaker. But somehow, despite that raging fast pit stop, Ballant and Zweyer got out of the pits, Josh, ahead of Schnackle.
Yeah, they sure did. There's lap times, again, maybe Schnackle got caught up a little bit on his out lap there, didn't put it in, or perhaps his in lap wasn't quite as fast as these guys, and that's what you're going to see reflected here. So it all matters, right? He had a quick pit stop. Maybe he did not have the best out lap after that by a second or two. That, although I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem, is it, JR? He's not that far behind here. If these guys even squabble through one corner, Schnackle's going to be right back on them with Neil Kemp here, and maybe even David Moore. We'll get our relatives back up here as my brain tries to do 7 things at the same time. But looking good, I think. This has been an excellent race so far. Really, really good. We've had action the entire time here. Really, really close driving. Nobody's really kind of pushed it super hard and to try to get anybody in the wall or anything yet, and I kind of really appreciate that. We're staying clean. Cars have a little bit of scraping and stuff on them, but no major damage, and we haven't had the typical massive pileup that we have around here with this many cars, JR. So super impressed.
All right, so with 11 minutes left, Wilkie lays down the most powerful commentator's curse possible, invoking the huge pileup over the mountain and probably coming down through the dipper, and we'll see whether or not that comes to fruition. But with 11 minutes remaining, and you are too right, Ballant and Zweyer have got to have situational awareness here. They cannot fight right now. They cannot let Schnackle back into this. Zweyer has dropped Schnackle to the tune of over 2 seconds. So if they want to fight, they need to save it for the last lap. Any kind of bumping and grinding, head fakes, or any kind of fighting at all is going to let Schnackle back into this. And if he gets back in it, he's going to be looking to schnack on those two. So they need to be aware of what's going on behind and tick off their laps down the stretch here with 10 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and we're looking real close here with Andrew Bailing as well, who's also got a great pit stop going here. Taylor Ballant coming down the front straight right now. It looks to me like Bailing is actually going to funnel out in front of them, not have the momentum, I don't think, to keep it, but he is going to be in play now for sure. It's going to be a battle down into T2 here for Bailing. What an awesome pit stop. Great strategy, and really good to see him back in the fight after last week's kind of just an abysmal race for the poor guy.
Wow, and Bailing, we said the pit stops could be critical, and I was focused on Schnackle and should have been focused on Bailing because he is the man that made something happen out of that pit stop and is now running in P1. Josh, that is +7 from his qualifying position of 8th place. So Bailing has got this right where he wants it. Oh, spoke too soon. Camera shy, commentators curse, call it what you want, and all out the window as Bailing drops to P3. Bailing fans are beside themselves right now, getting loose, going around the cutting, and Josh and I know that pain all too well as we watched our teammate do that a couple weekends ago right after a pit stop, and Bailing wolfing it right there. Not the complete wolf, not the full wolfie.
Nope.
But got close there. Bailing is hanging on here for P3. Nothing to sneeze at, but man, oh man, Bailing had this race exactly how he wanted it. And oh my gosh, that hairball there in the cutting, he is going to be tasting that for some time.
Yeah. I feel for you. Like, it happens, so often. You get, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. That was probably a little bit of intimidation there. He's, you're trying to keep that momentum up. You just came out of the pit, so your tires are probably a little bit colder than they were a minute ago. You're going to be extra tentative on the brake. I know I am. I'm not really sure how to lay into it after that, especially when there's 2 cars behind you and you're leading the race. And it kind of looks like that's what happened. Just tripped over the pedals a little bit there, pushed wide. Was able to save it though, and now you just want to breathe, right? You want to breathe through your nose, out through your mouth, do it 4 or 5 times, calm down, try to get your heart rate, see if you can't pick the pieces back up. He's got the speed. Clearly, he was able to put those out laps and in laps in to get in front. His pit stop wasn't really any different, so that happened on track. So it can still happen here now. We have lots of time to make it happen. You got to kind of just put that mistake behind you and see if you can push forward. But, he's got the likes of Jeff Schnackle behind him, who's probably thinking the same thing here. Dave Moore back there as well was doing so well early on in the race, getting eaten up a little bit by some of the drivers here. And, you got to start thinking about tires now too, don't you, JR?
Yeah, and Schnackle not thinking about his tires there as you see him drifting the night away through Hell Corner. But absolutely right about Bailing, and that is one of those moments, Josh, where you're grateful if you have a crew chief or spotter on comms right now to tell you, you know what, you choked away 1 corner, but there's 10 minutes left. Just hang with the leaders. You're on the podium right now. You might have an opportunity up here, so just stay with them. And, twofers on the last lap here, Josh, coming down Conrad Straight are not unheard of.
Totally true, 100%. It's really not over until the very last part of the lap around here for sure, because that's basically one of the only spots you can get it done. So you're thinking on the last lap through here, I'm going to get as close as I can here. I'm going to try to get the best possible exit I can get out of Forest Elbow, and then attack into the chase. And that's probably going to be your last chance. But sometimes it isn't. That final corner, I have seen people blow it on the last lap in that final corner, more times than I have fingers on my hands for sure. So this is not an easy track, and it can bite right up till the very, very last second for sure.
Absolutely, and I've called a number of races where somebody overcooks the entry to Murray's corner, the last corner before the pit straight. So easy to do. Get a bad exit and have a photo finish at the start finish, which is way the hell down there. It is not the start line. It's have separate start finish lines here, and the finish line is further down that pit straight. So you have to keep racing until the very last. And taking a look right now, some great camera work showing Taylor Ballant leading Swayer, Bailing, and Schnackle into the chase right now. And you saw a minute ago that battle for P5. That's more from Kemp, from David Finch, but really fantastic racing out here. And, I'm a big fan of Bathurst. I got to stand trackside here about this time a year ago, and huge tip of the hat to this field and to these competitors. They have put on a phenomenal show out here today. Clean, respectful racing, and very few incidents in cars that are very, very tough to handle. Take a look at Mark Cohn right now. Is going to try a side-by-side entry into Hell Corner right there. Really nothing that Frito Sport car can do there once you give up that inside position. So defense so important right there. And again, that, Josh, probably had to do with Murray's corner. We're watching Sacchetti go through there right now with Brandon Smith behind. It looks like nothing. It's a 90-degree left-hand corner. What's the big deal? But it has some weird camber. It's slightly downhill, and so easy to blow that one and lose your advantage down that pit straight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I even said, during our 12-hour race that, in my opinion, T11, I believe the last corner, I believe it's T11, and T1 might be the hardest corners on the entire track to get right, and they're so important to get right, especially the first corner. And they just, every lap, I think that's the one I think about. The rest of it I seem to be able to find a rhythm with. I can never really get a rhythm into those corners. They're pretty abrupt. Maybe T11 being a little easier. There's something about that one I seem to be able to get a little better. T1, I take it 10 times. I maybe do it the same 2 times out of those 10 times, and every other one's a little bit different. So, yeah, this place throwing up character all over the place, JR, and it doesn't end. It's the beginning and the end of the lap. You're really having to think about those corners, I think is what it is. They're on my mind a lot during the lap.
Yeah, and our apologies here from Slow Motion Broadcasting. We have 2 Mount Panorama fanboys in the booth right now, ranting about how awesome this place is, but try to convince me that is not the case. And here comes Fabian Zweyer. Look at that slipstream going to work, and watch that gap dropping. Zweyer is going to try the inside of the chase here. It is doable, but if you hang tough, as Ballant did right there, slam the door on the second corner, you can survive. But Ballant now is on notice. Zweyer likes that inside entry into the chase. Zweyer has the exit of Forest Elbow, and Zweyer is going to take another crack at it. That was a test run there, and you see Schnackle sniffing around back there behind Bailey as well, showing his nose down that pit straight. There they are, 1 through 4, and all 4 of those cars, Josh, covered by 1 second, 2.5 minutes to go, and welcome to Mount Panorama.
Yeah, absolutely. He takes that wide line there, like you said, hanging tough's a good way to put it. You can do that in that corner, and it feels great to defend that corner that way when you can hold that outside line and come out of there after that attack. And Fabian Zweyer taking a very, very good attack there. Very professional, very clean. Knew when to back out of it when it wasn't going to work, so he didn't lose any more positions and so on. And that's exactly what you want to see. I guarantee you that is not the last time we're going to see Fabian Zweyer take a look up the inside or outside of Taylor Ballant here. As we can see Taylor Ballant really getting on the loud pedal there. He left a big streak of black behind his car coming out of that corner there. He is pushing the firewall right now, trying to stay in front of Fabian Zweyer. And we know, from last season and this season that Fabian Zweyer is always going to look. He definitely knows how to make passes, and he's going to do that. Just behind them, too, Andrew Bailing and Schnackle fighting pretty hard as well. So we'll try to keep an eye on all this action for you.
Yeah, and Ballant whipping the pony right now at 225.283. And looking up and down the timing tower, that looks about 0.5, 1/2 second faster than the second fastest man on the grid. So Ballant absolutely flying right now. Somehow, though, Zweyer still hanging on, about 1 minute remaining. So we're going to get one more lap of action here from Mount Panorama, but here we go. What is Zweyer going to do this time? Keep an eye on our timing tower. Watch that interval. It's about 0.4 right now, and watch that slipstream go to work. It's now 0.3, and it continues to drop, approaching 0.2. Zweyer not as close as he was last time, close enough to threaten, though, and maybe not. Zweyer going to breathe it this time, save his tires for the final lap, and that is racecraft, Josh. So much of racecraft here at Mount Panorama is patience. Zweyer showing it right there. Yeah,
I think you're right. That patience you need to have here for that last lap. It's really you don't want to show all your cards, let's say, right now and just lay them all down and get in front, because you're going to leave him able to attack you for the entire lap. So if I was Fabian Zweyer, I'd be setting it up. Again, you saw him there. I would imagine he's kind of trying to set it up there. It's not the easiest setup in the world. It's a big, long straightaway. Oh, says Schnackle is going to just, unfortunately blow it into the dirt there. That's not going to help his run up into T2 here. It actually didn't look like he lost a lot of time somehow doing that. He's still got a bit of a draft going, but back to the point there. It looks easy. Maybe there's a big straightaway there. You think you can just get it, but as we saw, you have to be close enough to make that move into the chase, or it becomes pretty desperate. And I know we've both seen a lot of desperate moves into the chase.
Yeah, too right. And, part of it, too, is a good exit out of Forest Elbow. So right now, Zweyer has got under a 4/10 gap. You saw it drop a little bit right there. Zweyer getting a little quicker entry into the cutting. So Zweyer needs to keep that gap under 0.4. And if we come on to the Conrad Straight, this time this is the white flag lap. We come onto the Conrad Straight with Zweyer holding a 0.4 gap or less. We are going to see a fight for P1 into the chase. And right now, looking good. Ballant pedaling, and the two of them, by the way, have dropped Bailing. Bailing now a 1.2 second gap. So all the marbles right here, and we may have Schnackle attacking Bailing down the stretch. If that happens, we'll jump back to that.
Oh, we got it right.
My gosh. Watch Zweyer hit the dipper just perfectly, and look at that gap, Josh, under 0.2. And here it is, all the marbles. Get
it's looking good.
Elbow right. Get a good exit. And Ballant pulling away a little bit there. That's the critical moment. And Zweyer over 0.4, and going to be pretty similar to what we saw last time. We'll keep an eye in the background there on Schnackle versus Bailing as well. Schnackle about 1/10 right now, heading down the Conrad Straight. But I'm going to say that Zweyer probably not close enough, and Schnackle is making a move. Bailing tries to cover the inside. It's going to be Bailing versus Schnackle side by side here into the chase. Schnackle's going to have the advantage into this right-hander. What is going to happen in Murray's?
So clean.
Banging side by side, clean, respectful, little bit of paint, and Bailing will have the inside line here into that critical Murray's corner as we watch Ballant coming through. Ballant is going to take it from Zweyer, but what's going to happen between Schnackle and Bailing? Schnackle pushing through. It's almost a photo finish, but Schnackle making the outside line through Murray's corner work to get onto the podium.
Wow.
P3 for Jeff Schnackle. Here come Bailing and more. David Finch, Kemp, Bast, and Ott. I hope they had a good view of that. That was epic. And here comes Matt Thompson and Mark Cohn. Those two probably sick of each other after 40 minutes of battling. They have been side by side through a lot of this one, and that one comes down to a micro interval between Thompson and Cohn. That is P1 and 2 in the challenge. Then Hosey comes across for P3 in challenge, and here comes Sicchetti. And my goodness, what happened to Kosick there, the pole sitter? We completely lost track of that, but it's going to be Sicchetti from Carl from Olsen in the AMs. When it looked like Kosick was going to run away, he was in the top 10 for a big part of that one, Josh. So we might have to go back and figure out what happened to Kosick. But Sicchetti there to pick up the pieces. That's 17 overall and P1 in class for him. Or no, I'm sorry, it was Andy Bell. Computing my Andes, but my point is intact. Andy Bell lost pretty tight grip that he had on P1, letting Sicchetti through at some point during this one. But fantastic racing here once again at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, excellent. Right down to the line there too for Jeff Schnackle and Andrew Bailey. I'm gonna take a quick look at this one, just see how close it really was here. He's gonna get that outside line. I'm not exactly sure how he got this done. He gets such a good run on that outside and just squeaks him out. So, wow, hard charger, hard fighting award goes to Jeff Schnackle, I think, today. Taking off with that early lead, getting a little bit, getting attacked a little bit by some other cars, but really fighting hard for that final position to put him on the podium there. Pretty awesome.
And, Schnackle kind of showing what driving these things is about. I mean, it's, that's not figure skating. That's hockey. as you
Definitely.
saw Schnackle
Good way to put
hang that Mustang sideways into the dirt coming around Hell Corner, lap after lap after lap. You wondered if that was sustainable or if he was going to end up binning it, and he hung on. And you also saw a huge drift and catch through Griffin's Bend there early on. So Schnackle showing that he has got the kart control to handle these beasts and getting it done at Bathurst. I know that he probably would have preferred a P1, but a hell of a drive from Schnackle.
Yeah, definitely. Good way to put it there, too. You know, that's not exactly a move you might be able to get done in all machinery on iRacing for sure, but in this car, you can. You know, you can actually kind of create some lines for yourself. That suspension and the way it handles, you know, being an attribute in those situations. I kind of like it, to be honest. It's fun. I like that it wallows around a little bit and you can feel it. It's pretty fun. Fabian Zweyer here just pulling in to the pit lane after a fantastic race. Haven't seen too many podiums out of him, I don't think, this season so far, so he's going to pull one today in pretty convincing fashion there as well. I think he could have had a win today, perhaps, you know, a couple more laps to kind of figure out that puzzle in front of him in the likes of Taylor Ballant, and he may have been able to pull out a win. But yeah, getting some positions done, really clean racing. Didn't force it so hard that he pushed his competitor off the road and stuff, and he very well could have a few times there.
Yeah, and but really, to me, it comes down to Ballant. When Ballant needed to make something happen, he made something happen, turning in the fast lap by a half a second at the pointy end of this field. That is saying something. You know, you light the wick and dare anybody else to match your pace, and no one was within spitting distance of Ballant as he almost broke the 225 barrier here on Mount Panorama, which is definitely saying something in these cars. So speaking of Taylor Ballant, it looks like he is out there, and we'll have a word with him in a second. We get Sacchetti as well, but let's go ahead and get those final results up for you if we can, and run through the results of a fantastic race here in Australia. And there they are. It is Taylor Ballant from Fabian Zweyer, from Jeff Schnackle is your podium, then Andrew Baling and David Moore will get you to the top 5. David Fench, Neil Kemp, Jay Bast, and Dan Ott get you to P9. Then Matt Thompson, your first challenger, and followed by Mark Cohn. That's P1 and P2 in challenger at 10 and 11. Then Chuck Labano, P3 in the challengers. Charlie Hosey comes in P13. Then Brennan. Then Levi Powell, Freddie Weaver. The M winner, Joe Sacchetti, will cross the line in P17. Then Ed Sancinelli in P18. And as we give that a little scroll, Brandon Smith in P19, Andy Bell in P2. Still couldn't quite figure out what happened to Andy, but he still gets a podium, but looked like he had the victory in the bag. But the mountain giveth, the mountain taketh away. Then it's David Fernandez, Jeff Andrus, and Brandon Carl, your P3 NAMs, followed by Dave Blair, Colin Olson, Mike Nickham, Tom Wendt, and Andy Kosick. That will get you to P28. And maybe a
little WD-40 there. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. And then Scott Brooks is the last car that didn't bin it up here. And I got to say, for for a field this busy with this type of car on this track, only losing 6 to terminal damage is a miracle. So again, hats off to these guys. But it's Bray, Gazenda, Kennedy, Besnard, Eschman, and Wolf there. Not finishing on the lead lap due to various incidents. So, Josh, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Taylor Ballant and let you talk to him about his race and maybe ask him from whence he pulled that 225.3.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor, a great finish today here at Bathurst. I know you've been looking for one out there for sure, having a little bit of bad luck here and there this season, but very commanding win out there on a difficult track. Perhaps you can tell us maybe some secrets about how you got that done.
I don't know if there's a secret or not, because I think Fabian, well, if there is a secret, he knew it too. He was making me sweat tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Schnackle was super quick as well. David Moore, all those guys were really pushing at the front, man. It wasn't a runaway. It never will be on this track. It's kind of draft locked, which makes it fun. So yeah, it was. I found some pace pretty early on, practicing for this one, and felt pretty confident coming in. Just glad to bring home the win.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you have to do around here, for sure, is bring home that win. It's not easy necessarily to, you're fighting the track and your competitors out there. Jeff Schnackle kind of jumping off to a pretty early lead there, and then you able to hold on to it and just honestly hold on to all that pressure you had behind you. Very impressive. And everybody else out there, like you said, this group of drivers, just so clean. 35 cars around Panorama, and we had multiple laps before any incident at all. It was a sight to behold for sure. But yeah, a pretty awesome race out there. Is there anybody you'd like to thank here before we let you go?
Yeah, big shout out to my brother and my mom, who I know are both going to be watching the broadcast, and my wife, who lets me spend my Tuesday nights playing with all of you guys instead of spending time with her. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, honey.
Oh, right on. Happy birthday.
So yeah, big shout out to you guys too. You do a great job with the broadcast. I really appreciate it. And yeah, huge shout out to all the other drivers tonight. Really tough track, especially with the cool temperatures. It's slick out there. Really glad to see everybody have a nice, clean race.
Yeah, absolutely. We're headed to, I believe it's Road America for our next outing here. Seems to suit these cars really well. It's another, fairly draft locked area there too, where you're getting caught on those straightaways. Is that a track you're looking forward to there, or what's the secret of that one?
Ooh, yeah, Road America's got to be one of my top 5 favorite tracks, and it real close to me here. I'm in Michigan, so yeah, it's I'm looking forward to that one. It's also going to be good prep for the Road America 500 coming up. So
excellent. Right on, Taylor. Well, great result today. Good to see you back up on the top step of the podium, and we will catch you next week. Take care, man.
Happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
All right, that was your race winner, Taylor Blunt, who lit the fuse to hang on to that P1 at the right time. Great drive by him. And speaking of great drives, we'll go ahead and bring in Matt Thompson, who won the Challenger race. And Matt, first, congratulations on the P1. Congratulations on pushing into the top 10 in this one. A fantastic drive. And notable about your drive today is that you were never much further than spitting distance away from Mark Cohn, managed to hold him off for a 40-minute race. So how did that fight go between you two out there today?
Oh, it was good. It was a good clean fight. He and I have been kind of practicing together a lot, so gave him some tips, helped him with the setup, and then he kept me very honest. If I had any mistake, he was right there to take the spot, and that I had a little more. I think he was a little tentative going into the downhill with the S's, and I was always able to catch up to him there, and then finally got a pass in on the downhill. I got enough speed out of Forrest to get around him at the end.
Yeah, well, an excellent drive, and I love hearing about that kind of league camaraderie where you help your rival with the setup, give him tips, and then he pushes you through an entire 40-minute event. That is really great stuff. And we were just talking with Ballant about Road America, and what are your thoughts about another high-speed circuit back here in the U.S.?
Road America is not usually my friend. We'll see how it works out this year.
I was waiting for somebody to say that. The more laps, I probably have 20,000 laps at that place. The more I drive there, the slower I get. And if it just disappeared, I would be okay with that. But, as I do, I'm sure you'll do your best when you get out there next week. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Big shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast, Ed and Mike for putting on the league, Frito Sport, the whole Frito Sport crew for getting out there and making it fun.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you, Matt, for stopping by, sharing your thoughts with us, and we'll see you next week at Elkhart Lake. All right, that was Matt Thompson, our winner in Challengers, and Josh, it looks like we also have Joe Sacchetti, and maybe he can solve the mystery of what happened to Bell. Sacchetti winning the amateur class and moving up 6 positions in the process.
Joe had a great race out there today, for sure. We're wondering, was Andy Bell in front of you before this, and what happened to him exactly? And maybe you can tell us what the secret is around here. Not an easy track. Everybody's so clean today. Just some awesome racing.
Yeah, that was some really good racing. I think Andy Unfortunately, he didn't have enough fuel after his first pit stop, so he had to hit the
Oh.
pits again. And that means I got lucky.
Gotcha. We were wondering what happened to because he had no incidents or anything, and and he was just kind of gone. So you're able to get that AM win today. We saw you out there fighting pretty hard right up till the end. Not an easy track. Lots of pitfalls around here. Is this a place that you practice a bunch? A bit of a specialist here, or is this one better kind of in your rear view?
I like this track a lot, and me and some of the Frito guys did the 12-hour, not too long ago, so it was pretty fresh, and I was in the practice. It was good. It was good.
Excellent. How'd you guys fare at the 12?
We didn't fare so great, but it was fun, and starting to
Excellent.
get into the endurance ones, so.
Right on. Yeah. The first goes are not always the best, but it's one of the cooler experiences you can do on iRacing with your buddies for sure, whether it goes well or not. But we're headed out to Road America for our next round. Is that one you're looking forward to there as well? Lots of big straightaways, high power track. Should be a pretty good one, I think.
That's one of my favorites. That's gonna be a good one for sure.
Excellent. Right on, Joe. We'll keep looking at that picture to see if we can get your photo up here. I know you're talking about it before. We just can't seem to get it. I'm kind of interested as to see exactly what it is here. So we will figure that out at some point. But awesome race today. Great livery on the car too, by the way. And we will see you out at the next one. Is there anybody you'd like to thank here before we let you go?
Well, thank, of course, the guys at Frito, and then I'd shout out to Andy Bellman putting the work in. It's definitely been paying off for. He's been doing awesome, and he's been making me sweat, and hats off to that guy. He's been doing great.
Excellent. Always good to have some good competitors out there. It is kind of what makes it, isn't it? But we'll see you next week, man. Take care.
Thanks. You guys too. See ya.
All right, that was Joe Sacchetti, our AM winner, and yep, there it is, Josh, right in front of me on our SDK timing software. Andy Bell with 2 pit stops showing. So could have figured that out on my own if I was about 40 years younger. But in any event, folks, what I want you to do right now, however you're watching slow motion broadcasting on your TV, tablet, smartphone, go ahead and subscribe to SMB and be sure and hit that notification icon so that you don't miss any of the action. And speaking of action, tomorrow night we'll stay in Australia for Sim Racers Group Formula 3 season finale at Phillip Island with podium positions on the line. This finale is going to be serious business. And on Saturday, our Weekend Warriors Formula Vs will visit Brands Hatch in the UK. On Sunday, our Weekend Warriors double feature returns with Formula Fords at Lime Rock, Spec Racer Fords at Lebanon, also XSLR at Spa, and the Liberty Bell League will run at Oulton Park. And 2 weeks from tonight, AMS will contest week 8 of their season with a run at Road America. So that is going to wrap it up here from Mount Panorama. I am JR Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner Joshua Wilkie, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and we'll see you back here real soon.